Billy. Hey, mate.
Yes. Welcome. Well,
Hey.
good morning.
Morning to you. So you're an hour in front of me at the minute. Yeah,
Yeah.
you've got an hour in front because you're over in am I right in saying you're in the north part of the Netherlands? Is that
No. The west part. I live in The Hague.
oh bloody hell.
I live-
I knew that because
Yeah.
I know that you're there, but for some reason I thought that was the north part. So it's on the west coast, isn't it? Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah. The West Coast. Yeah.
Right, man. Well, look, thank you. You're like a lot of entertainers and DJs, because you're a DJ, and we'll get into that
Yeah.
in a minute.
Yeah.
You're really hard to pin down to get, because you're so, I know, not I wouldn't say busy, but you just got a lot of stuff going on, some good stuff, and we'll talk about all of that.
Yeah.
Um, so Billy, your DJ name, Billy the Kit.
Billy the Kid.
Tell
It
me,
is.
enlighten me, and enlighten anyone listening.
Um. So my real name, my Dutch name, Joost. Joost. I say Joost, and DJ name Billy the Kid. I'm DJing for over 20 years. When I say this every time, like, oh, wow, 20 years. Um. And we get later to it. It's strange because I feel like I'm DJing for 5 years in my new life now. We get to that later. But 20 years DJing from the real classic story from a bedroom DJ producer in the late 90s. When DJing was not like how it is now, like a big pop star game or anything. It was more like a nerd kind of thing with the vinyl going on. Now I really sounds old, but it's true. Um, and I became a yeah, I became a DJ, and we talk later about it, how that all went, and I'm still enjoying it. I'm in recovery now. That's why we're here, of course. And
Yep.
5 years ago, I did not know if I was ever going back on stage again, uh,
Mm.
because everything happened. Where we're going to talk about again, and now I'm really enjoying being a DJ. I don't see it as DJing anymore now. It's more like creative kind of director or entrepreneur with a lot of things around it. It's not only DJing anymore. So yeah, basically, that's what I'm doing. I work in a youth clinic as well. I'm giving workshops. I'm doing talks for businesses. Um, I'm making music and DJing. That's what it is at the moment. Yeah.
It's amazing. So that's where we met. I met you. I'd heard of you because I knew you was going into said place, the youth clinic where, um, in your native land where you're from, and because I've been going over there. I've been going over there for quite some time.
Yeah.
I don't really get over as much as I used to, but on one of those visits, I finally got to meet you, and
Yeah.
you was like this mythical character that all these young people, all these young people that I was, mentoring over here or wherever I
Yeah.
was, wherever they were placed in the world, because that's an international place where they come in from all over the world. And yeah, your name, that was one of the sort of, honestly, I'm not just saying this, that was one of the sort of highlights for them was to have this dude come in, you come in, Billy the Kit, this DJ, and you're quite, you're not like just some bedroom DJ now, and
No.
we'll get into that in a bit.
Yeah.
But so they were really hyped about that, and I remember when I met you, when we finally met up, before we'd have had a proper chat and connected properly, because we did that at the
Yeah.
end of the day. Um, I found myself in that. What was that room up the top where it's like the where you set everything up? Not the where you do the workshop where you've got um all the mixing gear comes in,
Yeah.
but the room up the top where you basically have like a little party
Yeah.
kind of.
Uh, at the end of the workshop, it's like we do like an after party. That's how I
Yeah,
call it.
yeah,
Also, like, and when I say it, it's crazy. Like in a rehab, an
yeah.
after party with banging music and
I know.
dancing and everything. And yeah, and again, when you say it, like the buzz around it, and it's strange to hear it again from you because it's so from my heart. I just doing that. It's so natural for me to do. And then
Yeah,
I don't see I don't see the kids like after it anymore. So when I heard back from that they had such an amazing time, it's still so blessed to hear, you know. But yeah,
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 man.
it's a real after party, and there we met. Yeah, of course, there we met.
It, and it blew my mind because I was sort of quite reserved, sort of standing towards sort of the back, like I would in probably any situation like that in a club or a gig or something. I normally am the one that's sort of got the back against the wall, just,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
tapping my foot and my head's banging a little bit. And I'm just
Yeah.
sort of observing and soaking it all in, but really appreciating what's going on. And I remember thinking, this is nuts. If anyone could see what's going on, and it wasn't nuts in a bad way. It was really just
Yeah.
amazing because they're all these younger people, adolescents that have ended up in a place because, like you and me, we're both
Mhm.
in our own journey of recovery.
Yeah.
Things have got a bit shit, and they've ended up. It's resulted in them having to go to somewhere like a treatment, a specialist clinic, a rehab at
Yeah.
such a young age, and it's so inspiring to me. But to see them, because it's not an easy task to go away and do that at that age. I couldn't do it,
No.
and so I really respect them and admire them. But to see them have that, that's like, and it was pure joy and pure euphoric,
Yeah.
hands in the air,
Yeah.
joy.
Yeah. But
So it's amazing. It's amazing what you do.
but yeah, thank you so much. And when you say it, it's like now when I designed the workshop, maybe a little bit naive, but I thought, yeah, and then an after party. Like that was the way I was thinking, not about okay, is it possible or is it okay or anything. It was straight from the heart. So that's the
Yeah,
good thing. I never thought about like that is not possible. You know, I
I
was like,
know, man.
yeah,
Oh, it's wicked, man. It's wicked. So that's how we met. And,
yeah,
since then we've kept in touch because I feel like we had this sort of meeting of minds and hearts maybe where we what you've just what we've just described, that's only a fraction of what you do in your service to others, because you found something like I have. We found something which is really precious, and we want to give it away to other people and help other people.
yeah,
So I feel like when we had that chat, when we connected after, I feel like we was all it was like an unwritten contract that we were sort of always gonna, I don't know, maybe explore some things. And I know we do have some talks, and they're not forgotten. I'm someone that wants to really um, make some really good change and action, some really cool shit. So we've got ideas, and I know that somewhere down the line, some of these will start to grow into
yeah,
things. So we'll keep doing that. So do you mind me, like, everyone now knows a little bit about you're in recovery,
yeah,
you do service, you help other people, and that's just a tiny little example. We can get into some more of that.
yeah,
You're a DJ. That's,
yeah,
as you've said, it's not the only thing you are. I know you do the production, you've
yeah,
got loads of stuff going on, right?
yeah,
But can we just rewind a bit? Is this all right?
yeah,
Right. So you're in recovery, and you're a DJ.
yeah,
At the time of coming into recovery, was you still DJing?
yeah. I was DJing, and it was 5 years ago. I was still doing like touring around the world at the moment. But it was getting less and less and less, less and less. My career was going down. Now looking back, of course, I was struggling with addiction from the beginning of my career directly. And when I look back, I forgave myself, but because I don't want to be like talking hard about it now anymore, because
Mm,
between that is the work where I forgave myself. And it was a hard time when I look back. Like I didn't know anything about recovery. I didn't know anything about addiction. And in that world, the DJ world, like the beliefs and were so different from how I grew up. So there was always like a big uh, big difference between where my beliefs were in my youth and how I grew up and the DJ world itself. And I always tried to catch up in the DJ world and try to catch up with the touring. And so I was still touring like 5 years ago, but I knew like I was physically, emotionally, spiritually I was doing so bad, at that moment when I see pictures back. That's the nice thing of your iPhone, and the bad thing of your iPhone is coming
I
back
know.
sometimes the pictures. And oh, when I look back, it's like terrible to see, how I was touring the world and how I was struggling at the moment. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So at that moment when I asked for help, and that was the moment I saw the Avicii documentary and I read the Robbie Williams book. Um, it was like, now I know it was like kind of higher power moment. At that moment, like I was reading that book and I was like, and I saw the docu and I was like, for the first time I thought, hey, they have struggles, obviously, as well. I'm not the only one. Like I was always thinking I was the only one in the DJ world or the entertainment business who was like struggles with basically life.
Mm.
So then I thought, okay, I have to ask for help and call my doctor. That's how we do it in Holland. We called my doctor, and it was really nice. Actually, he said he gave me like a letter to go to a treatment center in Holland, and they sent me to Ireland. So I went to Ireland, and at that moment I thought I'm gonna stop DJing. I thought that's what they're gonna say in rehab as well. Like, okay, stop DJing and go be a teacher or somewhere, and never be in that world again. I was thinking that they're gonna say that, but I was saying that. They were not saying that. So basically, when I look back, I never stopped DJing. Only in the pandemic. I don't
Yeah.
pronounce it
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Um, so yeah, I was DJing before rehab and after rehab directly as well. Yeah, I never stopped. No.
It's amazing because thank you for sharing that because um when the person that helped me get into my own journey of recovery was a DJ. Right.
Hey.
Yeah, not your level, but he was sorry, Tony, but
Oh,
he was he's a DJ, right? And he I love him. You know, he's the guy that showed me what was possible.
mm,
And it blew my mind. The thing that blew my mind, the thing that hooked me into it was it was really attractive. I thought it was really cool.
yeah,
He was a DJ. It was like he was 5 years completely clean off. He didn't drink, didn't do anything, you know.
yeah,
He had a lot of Haribos in hindsight. At that point in his journey, sorry, Tony. But it was like it blew my mind that a DJ, I couldn't comprehend it because I
yeah,
dabbled. I was a bedroom DJ. You know, I never had the confidence to really sort of go outside my bedroom and try and make
yeah,
something of it.
yeah,
And in my own journey, I was still me and Tony. I started to get into. I started to dabble with a bit of it when
mm,
I was getting into recovery.
mm,
But for me, I didn't have that foundation that you probably had of knowing, you know, that world like I didn't know it like you do. So it's interesting to me that you chose to stick with it. And why was that?
it was, and that's where I always say her name. It's Anja, my therapist, um, and I said all the times in the one-on-ones with her. It blew my mind when I talk about Anja again. Like I thought the first one-on-one I had in Ireland as well. From the moment I met her, I thought she knew everything in the beginning. She talked with my parents, she talked with my brother, she knew everything about me, but she didn't, But I was, what's going on? And at a certain moment, I was repeating, I have to quit DJing. I have to quit DJing. I have to quit DJing. I have to go out of the world. I have to do something different, something else. And then in the second one-on-one, she stopped me and she said, Joost, you have a message to bring with your music. And I know that moment, like I was completely silent. It was like the world paused for me. I never thought about that music is such a beautiful thing. I was so blocked in the 20 years of my addiction and the world I was touring. It was only about success and next one and next one. And I couldn't even name songs anymore or lyrics anymore. I was completely blocked. And then at that moment she said, you have a message, you have a gift and you have a talent. Um, accept your talent, use your talent, own your talent.
Wow.
And you have a message with, and then for the first time I think that's the moment I start rebuilding that was hope and rebuilding my self-love or something a little bit.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
thought, and then I thought, yeah, and the only thing you have to do is do it from the heart.
which you do. I've seen you do it. Yeah,
Now, yeah, I didn't know how, but for the first time I was okay. That's in. I never saw that. Like I saw it as work, and I was struggling, and I never
yeah,
saw that. So a lot of people say, "Hey, you never saw that. You made a lot of people happy in your career, and you, yeah, but never from the heart,
yeah,
always from
yeah.
the head." Yeah,
So that's brilliant, lovely. Thank you for sharing that, and that's amazing. You hit the jackpot with that lady.
yeah,
You was very blessed to be in front of her, because she conveyed that message to you, and you listened. Most importantly, you was open
yeah,
to hear it.
yeah,
So just to before we move on from the whole that past world, because it's intrigue. I'm really curious, right?
yeah,
Because for anyone listening, um, it's the same as uh, all of the music world of like, especially touring rock stars and the DJs, and they're just seen as these, like I said earlier, mythical characters that are like,
yeah,
for anyone getting into it, you do maybe believe that there is part of it where you've got to be the person that's, you're in charge of, you're the orchestra,
yeah,
the orchestra is your crowd, and
yeah,
you're the conductor, and you're creating this frenzy of joy and emotion, and all of it's euphoric. It's so
yeah,
beautiful that people can do that and dance and connect, but there is this other element to it where some of it is chemically enhanced, of course. That's the
mm,
nature of the world we live in. It's not just, it's everywhere, so it doesn't have to be in a confined space like a party. um but when you're in that world,
yeah.
whether it's a touring rock star or a DJ, and you can only talk from your own experience, is it, do you feel part of the job criteria to experiment in chemicals, in narcotics, in drugs? Do you feel it was put on you? Do you feel like it was openly available, or is it just because you had that addiction that you was carrying around, probably, I suspect, long before you even put headphones on? You know what I mean?
I see now from the moment then I have to look back a little bit. When I was younger, I was like a creative, but also like I had a lot of friends, but also a shy kid. When I had to go from class 1 to 2 and new kids, it was really difficult for me in my head. So actually, to go back to my career, the moment I start DJing, I used alcohol as a medicine.
Yeah,
From the start on, I thought this is quite amazing to drink in the beginning. It's strange to say when you're recovering, but it is true. Because okay,
yeah, yeah,
not nervous anymore. I thought, oh, I'm in connection now. I thought, and in the beginning, of course, it works a little bit. I thought it worked. Now I see I was totally not in connection with myself and not with the audience. But from the moment I start DJing, I think the first 15 years I never, maybe 2 times I played sober. But
how long, sorry?
20 years.
Over 20 years
Yeah.
you were sober maybe a couple of times?
Yeah, a couple of times. I think my first gig was when I was 18, and I went to rehab when I was 38.
Yeah, yeah,
So there was always drinks, and I think the bigger thing around it, when I look back, is that I felt also like the scene, the house scene, was my tribe. I felt this is it, like the
yeah, my
outside
people.
outsiders and outlaws of the society come here on Saturday night in a place, and we know each other and we feel each other, and we have the same passion and the same
Yeah,
pain, and so and the connection for me was directly drinking and using drugs. Yeah,
yeah.
directly.
What was your I'm gonna, I think I know anyway, but I'm gonna say your drug of choice, if you was drinking and it was DJing, cocaine, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
drinking
yeah.
cocaine. Yeah,
And it's
always those two. And the funny, not funny thing is, but I was talking with a sponsee the last months, like intensive, and the strange thing was, and I just discovered it. Like I'm 5 years in recovery, but I discovered something new of my behavior from my using period. This was like every Friday and Saturday I had to go on tour, and I never called a dealer or anything. I always thought I'm not going to do this the weekend for 20 years. I'm not going to have Coke this weekend. I only drink. And I never bought it before I went to the gigs. So that's like the insanity I see now. I never thought, okay, it's gonna happen this weekend, so I'm gonna buy it on the Thursday already. No, never. So I
Yeah.
was always like going in every weekend. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this.
Yeah.
And it's always happened. Yeah.
Yeah, I relate, mate. I mean, I relate. It's like, I was on the other end of I was front of house, you're behind the decks,
Yeah.
or if you're on a band, you're on the stage. I was front of house, I'm out front, and I'm the one that's just like, like a lot of people, not everyone, because some people are going, they're getting sober highs, and that's
Yeah.
amazing. There's a lot of people doing that now, which is incredible. But I was the one that, I made many, many attempts, convinced myself many times, fooled
Yeah.
myself over and over
Yeah.
that this time I can do it. I won't do this. I'll just have a drink, or, it was always something. It was a social lubricant to be able to stand in front of other people and feel part of something connected.
Yeah.
It's such a peculiar thing that we we end up doing. It's a very peculiar thing when you think about it, that we've got to,
Yeah.
put something into your system to control, your mood so that you can be more functioning. It's weird.
Yeah.
And the irony is that the more you do it, the more dysfunctional it becomes.
Yeah. For me, when I look back as well, when we talk about this, it's like always like it's always so busy with more, less, more, less. I was medicating myself all the time. I was always thinking within 5 minutes, okay, now I can do more, I can do less. If I do this, then this happens. I was always counting in my head
Yeah,
how I could survive that
yeah,
perfect night or something.
yeah,
And it was
yeah,
never
yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? I've got a good mate of mine. I'm not going to say it is a really good mate of mine. He was becoming really good, actually. No, he was really good at DJing, but he was becoming quite. He was getting into, he started his own label. He was started getting, you know, scouted, and he was getting gigs, and he was doing good stuff. But he was, at the time, he started to pick up he got into the coke as well, and he
Yeah,
started weirdly, like, he started to nod out on the, like, one gig we were
yeah,
at, he nodded out on the decks. Someone had to
yeah,
prop him up and
yeah,
jump in and take over, and it's just like that. I never really got like that on gear, but that's just one example of that sort of environment. I mean, it's not the entirety, because there's loads of people now, isn't there, that are just really healthy.
yeah. Yeah, oh, sorry, I was stuck in that moment where you was talking, and I was like, for me, like I had a dark secret in my career. I was touring the world. I was getting on the radio, making music, and I was always one core belief in my head: s- someday I will fall down the stage or get a heart attack, and then I stop.
Oh my
So that
God.
was always in my career when the success was really I was that bedroom DJ with the posters and finally living the dream, and I was doing everything, and I was always that okay, maybe it's gonna happen tonight. Oh, and then it's done. Then it's done. So I was always in fear of that it happened and I was falling down the stage or somewhere. Yeah.
Mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Have you, like, what's your whole experience over the 20-year span that you was in active addiction DJing?
Yeah.
What's the There was probably some really amazing things that happened on your journey, getting into it and becoming it and living it. And I bet there was this whole, because it's not all bad, as we know. There's
Yeah.
a journey,
Yeah.
and the early part was, wow, I've made it. I'm doing something I
Yeah.
love. I'm getting paid. I'm traveling the
Yeah.
world. I'm
Yeah.
meeting really cool people. I might be getting some really good attention from, some really
Yeah.
amazing people. All of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But progressively, because of the nature of addiction and the way it works, and this is my own experience, I know it in myself and I know it in other people. And I just want to hear your version of the progression of going from that
Yeah.
to hitting your rock bottom.
Yeah. The start with like the how do you say that? The begin times when it was fun. It was, yeah. when I look back, it's hard to say fun. When I say this is fun, because for me, from my own experience, I always knew there was something wrong. My consciousness was always, there was always something. I couldn't point it, but I knew my success was also like I had two names, Joost and Billy the Kid, and it was easy to. The Billy the Kid was perfect for my addiction to build my. I built everything around my addiction, but and I made a DJ name and I made a character. It was a rock and roll DJ, and I was one of the guys. I was not the typical DJ because I was not hanging out with the DJs a lot. I was hanging out with the crowd, and I was the DJ of the crowd. And I went after my gig into the crowd and closed
Partying.
the gigs,
Yes.
and I shouted through the mic like, uh, "Come to the hotel!" And I invited my audience who bought tickets to after parties and everything. And um, now I look back, it was like this the desperate of search of connection as well, you know. And but I knew, of course, it was the word fun. I don't know in English. It was, yeah, it was fun. It was exciting. It was exciting. That was what it was. But from the beginning, there, the highs and the lows were like I knew there was something wrong, and I had to put so much energy in my because my career was taking off, and I got a bigger team and a management and bookers and fans. And the beginning of a career is always, I think, when I look back and I now see it, at the beginning of a career where you're like a talented guy and you come up into a scene, everyone is like, yeah, that guy, that guy, that guy. But in a very short time, with social media and everything, the critics will come and people will look at your set and they're gonna think something of it, or you get like the promoter's gonna say, "Hey, this is I paid a lot for this guy, and this was not good, and this was not good." So
He's smashing the hotel room up.
yeah, that kind of things, but also like the normal critics, like if they don't like the set or anything, you know. So that's from the minute I was a talent, and then you're the underdog, and that's interesting. That's fun. And then you're not the underdog anymore, and like you get established name in a scene first in my city, and then in Holland, and then in the rest of Europe. There will come feedback and criticism. So actually, from after 5 years, the beginning, the first 5 years were exciting and fun, and from that moment on, it was a battle. It was a
Mm.
battlefield, and it never went about the music anymore and about the fun and about. So from that moment, I can honestly say I was lost, but I was not doing it from the heart anymore. I was only
Mm.
in my head and like surviving, getting through it. And I had some fun moments and some fun times, but overall was surviving.
Yeah, I really relate to that, man. We've got different, everyone's got different stories, but I so relate to because I just know I can feel it. You said
Yeah,
you could feel there was something not quite right, and I carried that around all my life until
yeah,
34. I was in my 30s as well, when I started to look at that.
yeah. And the thoughts when I the thoughts in my career were always like, I have to get out at some point. I have to make enough money and get out
Mm.
and have a normal life. And I leave everything behind me and I go to the farm somewhere and or become a teacher. So that was like I was not paying. I was not going like I was not also not into my career like for 100%. I was also
Mm.
I have to do it now and then get out. You know? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's really inspiring, man, to just because it takes down a lot of great people that world, the world of entertainment because you're placed in a position, I've got friends, I know people, that are in that and you're one of
yeah,
them, that
yeah,
there's so much pressure on you to perform in whichever way that you are performing. There's so much pressure coming from everywhere
yeah.
and mainly from yourself, right?
From yourself. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um,
That's why that's why it's so nice now. I'm so blessed to have this like second career now,
mm,
where I can, the world didn't change in the music industry. I have not intention to change that world like directly, you know.
yeah,
Indirectly, I want to lead by example,
yes,
and show like how I do it without saying how they have to do it. Um, but it's so nice to see like to do it now on a on a natural way, and I'm blessed that I can do it like in a second career. And that's what I feel every day when I wake up. I'm so happy I can still play for people and on big festivals. And I see the same things coming in again. The same pressure I put myself in. I see the same things happening around me. And I have to work on a daily basis. And I want to not say really hard, but I have to really work on myself to do this in a healthy way.
Yeah.
It's
Not
not
just
natural for me to live in this world like, oh, this is quite easy, and I'm just doing it like so or a natural way. It's not
yeah.
that easy, but I really love to put the work in it so I can be able to feel it naturally. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with you what you're saying. It's really it doesn't matter whether you're a DJ or whatever you do in life,
Oh,
just what you just said, it's the same for everyone. But obviously being a DJ and being in music and being around that sort of world, it's a little bit like you mentioned the word outlaw.
yeah,
It kind of is a little bit like it's a band of outlaws, pirates, everyone that's in the entertainment world.
yeah,
And I weave in and out of that, I'm in it, I'm out of it, I'm in it, I'm out of it. And I've been
yeah,
in it, a lot, and I'm around it a lot. And I'm one of them. I feel like one of the pirates, the outlaws. We don't
yeah.
live our lives in a normal way that other
No,
people might, and there's a lot of freedom within that.
yeah.
There's a lot of freedom.
Yeah, now I can see the blessing of it, of the freedom. And yeah, now I see the blessing, but I have to be very careful for my balance as well, still in this new life. And I
Yeah.
see that with all the people in recovery. I see basically not only recovery, but balancing in this world is the most challenging and exciting thing there is at the moment for everyone. And that's nice to talk from a recovery way or a spiritual way or a religion way or a business way.
Yeah.
It comes down to it's for me it's dangerous to say, oh, as a DJ it's very hard as a DJ, because I think I'm so blessed with the freedom I have and the chance I have to work like this.
Mm,
uh, and yeah,
you have without getting into it, I'm just going to make
yeah,
an observation that you've got other fellow DJs around you that are like you, have
mhm,
transformed their own um, journey going forward as well. They've got the old way of being a DJ, and now they're living like you. There's
yeah,
soberness to you've got fellow. You're not on your own with this. There's other
no,
people that are doing it, and that's a really valuable thing in life. You don't have to be a DJ. That's the thing for me. And I really want to get into this and explore it. Is you went from feeling quite isolated. You described it, and I relate to.
yeah,
You're
that was,
alienated. You're isolated. You feel
yeah,
you can't be on your own. That's why you want the continued after party.
yeah,
The party never ends, right?
yeah,
I was the same, right?
yeah, yeah,
Not a DJ, but I didn't want the party to end. I was the one
yeah,
that would have been in your hotel room. I would have been
yeah,
with you, right?
I knew.
And we would have been there for hold up for days,
Yeah,
as you were probably.
yeah,
And I didn't want it to end. You didn't want it to end. So isolation, alienation. So you don't want to be on your own. So you just continue being with people. Um, Fair to say, probably not healthiest environment to be in. There's other ways of doing that. Um, and it gets you to a point where you feel so alone, right?
yeah,
So alone. Because the worst thing in the world is when you're surrounded by people and you feel so alone,
yeah,
right? So I just wanted to get into, because the power of connecting to the we,
yeah,
but not the we in the way that you was doing it. And I know the way I was doing it was,
yeah,
I just said how we was doing it, how you was doing it. I'd love you to share, because you said earlier on about, read them books, you felt some hope, maybe
yeah,
some inspiration, maybe you felt
yeah,
motivated to maybe try and do this, that you need to do this.
yeah.
You went to a doctor,
Ireland. Yeah,
and
doctor.
then
Yeah,
and then you end up in Ireland.
yeah.
without getting into all the nuts and bolts and the details of it, unless you want to,
Yeah,
what was that like going from feeling really alone, like you're the only one that knows what it's like to be like this,
yeah,
to going into a space where there's like you're in a group of
yeah.
people that you don't know, you probably don't maybe trust necessarily, you're a bit suspicious maybe. I don't know. I'm guessing that that's maybe how you felt.
Yeah, for me, it's like it was that when I look back, and that's why I want to talk about recovery in this podcast as well, because I still speak to people like every day, or parents call me, or friends call me. My friend's not doing well, and like for me, it's recovery and the rehab, and was like from the moment on I walked in, from really the first moment, I felt yes, finally, wow. Um, and the meetings and everything. So going back to the moment where I was feeling alone, that's why I think I say Robbie Williams saved my life in that book review. In the first paragraphs, there's like how I see it in the book. I didn't know. I have to read it back now, but 6 years ago, 5 years ago, I read it like this. He was writing down his faults, like that he was a complete failure. His faults, very honest faults, and that faults were exactly my faults.
Wow.
So, like, I will never get a family. I will never get a normal relationship with friends. I will never be happy. I will always have struggles in my life, and that kind of lyrics almost, or were in the. And I was like, for the first time in my life, I felt connected to really negative and dark thoughts that I always had with me, and never ever talked about, because I think this is my secret. I'm the only one who feels it. So that
Mm,
the connection there happened there. That's basically for me. It was a step 12 for man and step 1 for me. Um, but it was written down so amazing that I thought, okay, this is it. And then I had like, okay, in Holland, the it's always about addiction and not about recovery. That's how I feel it. It's always about addiction, more like from, okay, how much do you use? How bad was it? And the beauty of recovery. So you're an addict, but I say, yeah, I'm in recovery, and that's why I want to put it, and I want to say it, because it's in England and the States, I think you're a little bit farther with that kind of. That's
mm,
how I see it.
mm-hmm,
And for me, is recovery a proud choice and not a sad consequence?
mm-hmm.
So I came into the rehab, and I was happy they sent me to Ireland, because they saw I was really like, uh, if they said you have to go to Holland to rehab, I never would do it, because I was so afraid to get caught. And oh, that's he is a successful DJ, or and then he's in rehab. And I, when I went to Ireland, I was feeling very sorry for myself, and oh my God, I
It's come
can't
to
do it.
this.
I can't.
Yeah.
Oh, the typical rock star. Okay, here he is in a rehab center with with bars for the windows. That's what how I thought it was. And then I came. I was going to one flew in the cuckoo's nest kind of thing. That was how I was thinking. And then
Oh no.
and then I came, and it was a sunny day, and had a beautiful castle, and people were like laughing. And uh, there was only one strange thing I have to tell. I was coming into the castle in Ireland, and people were playing the bongos. So doom, 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 and it was really like feeling a madhouse, because it was really feeling like one flew in the cuckoo's nest. I said, "What is this for a crazy place?" And they were laughing and they were screaming. And I say, "This is not good for me. I need help." And they were making fun. I was so serious. I needed help. Like one day, but the connection there was directly when I saw therapists who were like experienced. How do you say that? Experienced fellows. Yeah,
Yeah,
they were
just yeah.
fellows.
People that have been in for a while, in recovery.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and there was a speaker who was 5 years clean, and there were people like coming in the castle who were 2 years clean, and,
Mm.
and, and my therapist knew about addiction. And then I was like, okay, this is a whole new world. And the most beautiful thing, I think, and I always tell the people when they don't believe it, is like, in the 6 weeks I was there, we talked maybe, I have this really in my head, like for 1 or 2 hours about drugs or alcohol. It was always about spiritual and about the self-discovery and about the psychology, kind of how I saw it then, side of who was I, who am I, and who I wanted to be, you know? So, and that was for me like, that was the enlightening moment. It's like recovery is not about like, you don't have to do this, don't do this, don't do this. It's not about that. It's not like finally get the chance to know yourself, you know? And that was
Yeah.
like, that was for me, the so enlightening from I to we, how I say it, from I to we was like the moment I went to the castle and went into the community and I heard people sharing and in week 6 or 5 and I was like, wow, how the check-ins in the beginning when people were checking in week 5 and I was like 3 days inside and I heard them checking in about feelings. I was like, wow, I
Yeah.
want this. I need this.
Oh, wow.
How do they do this? You know? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's beautiful, man. I always feel so nostalgic. I didn't go to rehab or treatment center, but I ended up in the same circle that you've sat in many a time, and with those people, complete strangers, and and for the first time, I heard something that was someone sharing very poetically. It was like poetry, you know. They
Yeah.
was so
Yeah.
so profound,
Yeah.
and it gave me a sense of coming home, like I'm
Yeah.
reconnecting to the person that I was always meant to be.
Yeah.
And I see it as a disconnect. When we end up in the, as you put it, the I, you know, when we're alone, just me,
Yeah.
I, my, on my own, there's a disconnection, not just from other people, but from my sense of self,
Yeah.
who I am. Who am I? Like you
Yeah.
said, you
Yeah.
know, so that reconnecting to people is so significant. And it, you know, look, we're talking about a very it's not specific, but because you can do that in other areas of life. You don't have to be an addict to end up into, you know, to connect to a group of people. It could be other support groups and other people
Yeah.
you connect
Yeah.
to. But you know, we're talking about this because we're talking about this.
Yeah.
But it's the most important component is the we, right?
Yeah, and that's so beautiful. But I'm talking for businesses. This is a different kind of thing. But what I do there is I found a quote will make this perfectly sense, and that is when you replace the I for the we, even illness becomes wellness.
Oh man, did you make that up?
No, I found that online.
Oh, I was gonna say you need to.
Illness, wellness. That's like for me perfect like summary.
I like that.
Yeah,
That's really good.
I think that's for, and I do that for businesses like and for my career as well. Like the I makes me literally sick, and the we make me literally healthy again.
Mm,
Uh, what you say as well, there we go. Like oh, the sparkling from the connection. That's the natural high connection. It still is. Even this
yeah,
talk, and this is like bomb. That's where I have to be. Like that's my work every day to get connected with myself and other people.
yeah, exactly. I love
Yeah,
that what you just said. It's exactly that because when you, this is the way I see it, when you don't really know who you are and you're carrying around that sense that you described, and I related to it. I knew
yeah,
exactly
yeah,
because I felt it. And I don't have that anymore. I could if I stopped doing the things I know I need to do,
yeah,
but I don't really have that sense anymore. It's kind of just gone, the volume's gone from like
yeah,
11 out of 10 to, you know, 0 because I just
yeah,
don't feel it. And it will come back, as I say, if I stop doing things.
yeah,
But um, that sense of I'm not living my life. I know there's more. I just know deep down in my soul, there's something missing.
yeah,
There's something missing, and I'm searching for it.
yeah,
And that's what we do, right? That's what you've
yeah,
what I heard from you is you was searching, trying to find that thing that was missing. But the more we try and search in all the wrong places with
yeah,
wrong places with the wrong people doing the wrong
yeah,
things, um, as you know, we feel so much, it pushes it away even further, and then you
Yeah,
get
yeah.
to this room on your own and you're
Frustrated.
alone and you're just taking these, you're medicating on that because you feel
Yeah, yeah.
so lonely and
Yeah,
alone, and then bam, you get, you hit a wall. And that's the most important part for me, is when you hit that wall, what do you do with that?
yeah,
What do you do with that? Do you transform that pain and suffering and loneliness and hopelessness and frustration? Do you transform that into a journey of self-discovery and
yeah,
connection,
yeah,
recovery, or
yeah.
do you freeze in fear and continue to medicate? And you chose, you took a risk, like me. You
I
chose
took a
to
risk, yeah.
took a
I think
risk.
I took a risk, and I say, but the honest thing is that I had an intervention with in my family. Like they already saw, like for ages, that it was not going well, and I can say that here as well. My brother said at a certain moment, like, I can't watch this anymore. Like you're such a talented. That helped me. Like you're such a talented guy, and like you're performing on such a low level um, as a person, not as a DJ, but as a person. And that strikes me. That struck me. Like, okay, yeah, and that was the words from Robbie Williams. Like the how I was talking to myself, and I said, okay, yeah, this is done. I will end up dead, like literally, like
Mm.
Avicii. So that was the 1, 2, 3. My brother said, okay, this is not. You're not performing as a normal human being, and it strikes me because I'm ambitious. So he said, you're not getting the most out of yourself. So that was hurting. Then I saw Robbie Williams, who is still very successful for me. I was like, hey, he did something I want. And I saw Avicii, rest in peace. Like he didn't make it. So the three things were like for me, when I look back, were like the connecting dots.
Yeah. So it's two ways. It's almost like you get to a crossroad when you get to a point, because I believe these doors of opportunity are always there,
Yeah,
passing us by. They're always there out there. I believe this. And they open and we can choose to walk through it. But
yeah,
if we don't, they'll shut and then we miss the opportunity.
yeah,
And we've got to be really in the right place, in our head. We've got to have
yeah,
the right, all the stars have got to align up, in my opinion. You've
yeah,
got to be sort of ready
yeah,
to literally run towards that door when it opens
yeah,
and
yeah,
go through it. And
yeah,
sometimes you need help with that. You need
yeah,
someone to hold your hand,
yeah.
and sometimes you just find the courage somehow to bravely go towards that light of the door opening and you walk through it. But when you do, it's been my experience that wow, what's waiting for you on the other side. It's so scary, but once you get into that part of your life, uh,
Yeah, and that's also like I don't know how you feel that. Like it's like when the moment I found it, that moment, I want to say to everyone, "There's a solution. There's a solution." But
yeah,
I didn't get it like 15 years ago as well. So it is I can. The only
yeah,
thing I can do is talk about it on this way and to keep repeating how it was for me,
yeah,
and hope someone get like 10% courage of it and say, "Okay, I ask for help as well." That's the only thing
yeah,
I can do now. And then sometimes it's hard, it's frustrated because I want to scream on the street like to everyone, it's available. It's
yeah.
available.
There's another way, man. There's another way. You don't have to live your life like this.
Yeah.
So it is attraction, isn't it? Not
Yeah.
promotion. So it's like, just live it.
I
Just live
hope
it.
I hope it will get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah. Well,
Yeah. One of the things that I want to do with you, I mean, without giving too much away, but it's one of the things we talked about, isn't it? Is you're a DJ, you're in that world, you're in the business,
yeah.
and there's I want to, I feel like there's a collaboration needed, not just between me and you, but between other artists, other
Mhm.
people, other creatives,
Yeah.
um, to provide, some entertainment. I've always liked the idea of having a really good music festival, or or a touring, like arena gig that's just sort of like wellness centered, just,
Yeah.
but not, like, because I've seen how that can work and doing it on a really big level. I'd love to do that. I
Like a
really,
festival together, like a big. Sorry,
yeah, like a wellness festival,
yeah, wellness festival. Yeah, man. Yeah,
like Coachella vibes, but
yeah,
without all the
yeah,
mind-bending substances where everyone's walking around at the end of
yeah,
it.
man. Yeah, I think I see it like on two ways. Like sometimes people ask me, how is it for you now to be in that world again? And I think, yeah, I don't want to be like as that people treat me like special or different on a normal festival. I choose to be sober here, and
Mhm.
I want that to just continue. I want to be have my own part in it, but I really love and I see way more festivals with that kind of vibes coming up at the moment, and people are
Yeah,
looking for it. Even in the morning festivals like
yeah,
6
yeah,
o'clock till 10, and I really love that, and I want to do that more and more and more. Like,
yeah.
let's go. If people listen to this,
Yeah,
go
I
ahead. So,
yeah, I would honestly like we'll continue these talks off this, but like I feel like there's something in that, and it's not the first time people have talked about doing this, but nothing's really ever taken off in the scale that I feel it could. Do you know
yeah,
what I mean? I just feel like someone just needs to really, get on it and really sort of get it going, because I feel like there's the people, you build it, people will come, as they say,
yeah,
you know.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
so leading on from, you're in recovery.
yeah.
You've been in recovery now for how long?
5.5 years. Yeah,
Yeah, boy.
crazy when I say it. 5.5 years.
Yeah.
It's like a number. When I saw people for the first time, when they were talking about 6 years or 7 years, I was ambitious and a perfectionist as well. So I was at the first meetings I went. It was like, oh, people are 10 years clean and 14. I want that. I want that. I want that. And my therapist said, Joost, focus one day at a time. One day at a time.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah,
It's 5.5 years. It feels surreal. And when I saw that people were 5 years or 6, 7 years clean, I thought, okay, they made it and they're perfect. So that's how I saw it in the beginning. And now I know it's not true. It's still,
yeah, yeah.
it is. Yeah.
When I came in to my own journey, I was the same. I was like, I wanted to be, 10 years in this game. I wanted to
Yeah.
be 10 years down the into the future,
Yeah.
instead of just, being in the present moment and enjoying that. But, I was still learning. And I
Five
think,
years. Yeah.
yeah, 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 that's amazing. So with that, you've got a lot of experience. You've got a lot of experience that comes from the lived
Yeah.
experience of getting to a point where you can be 5.5 years. Um, you do a lot of service now. We touched on that earlier.
Yeah.
And it's not all centered around what you do with your music, right? Or is it?
Yeah. I think service is, it sounds so when I was in the beginning, and also Anya talked about every time I was struggling a little bit, she talked about keep giving, keep giving, keep giving, keep giving. And it's so beautiful how she does it. And I still talk to her sometimes. And that's and I had some like I was like I had in the last months I was like feeling a little bit stressed or something, not feeling it like, and then I talked with Anya again, and she can like turn the tables for me like directly, always like go out of your own head and start giving. And I thought always when heard it in the first time, I said that's like pleasing, or then it's not about me. Well, how does it? Why all the people say keep giving? Then it's like, is that not like same like drugs a little bit, like not talking about your own problems, only about others? I thought, yeah, but now I see like the healthy way of giving and service is like a natural way for me to connect with myself, um, and like to practice the art of giving is such a beautiful thing. And I
Mm.
talked with my roommate. It's Ollie. Ollie was my roommate, Irish fellow in Ireland, and I'm still talking with him like every day. And we went together through that recovery journey. And in the beginning, in the first year, we meet up in Dublin and Edinburgh, and we learned about giving. So what we did is a funny story. we had no that was in the pandemic kind of time, so we were running out of money and everything. So we thought, okay, giving, giving, giving. We give now our last money to like people on the streets, but because then we get it back in 10 times, you know. So that was not the real giving. Now the service and give without getting something back is a way of life, and it's even hard to put it
Mm,
under words or something. I don't know what it is, and service is for me like I think that's the whole part I missed in my life. Like I think
yeah,
if I go back to
yeah,
that um, and I wanted to give, but I was feeling so bad, and my conscience knew from I'm such a worthless. I thought I was a worthless person and a worthless human being, so I couldn't help others as well.
yeah,
And now I think that's the most beautiful thing in recovery that you. I was the last person you could ask for help, you know, if I
yeah,
can.
yeah, yeah,
And the building up that self-worth and trust and faith to help others is still like a magical experience every time it happens. And it happens like everywhere in the grocery store, in the in the traffic.
yeah,
I can see it like I love to do things on the really small things in life.
yeah,
And I see people on a crossroad, and I think I can see how I spiritual fit I am if I said, "Please go on the crossroad,
mm,
let
yeah,
the people go," or if I wanna go go go
yeah,
go past them.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
that's also service for me and giving, giving,
yeah.
giving, giving.
Okay.
And of course in the program in the 12 steps, I got a sponsor, and I never understood that in the beginning. He's taking the phone like 10 times a day for me. How he has a job. How does he do that? Where is and that's I think there where I discovered what real giving is by my
Mm,
sponsor in the first year because he was like they're so selfish. Without how to say it, not selfish. What's not selfish?
selfless.
Selfless. Sorry, yeah. So
Yeah,
selfless for me, and
yeah,
that's where he lead by example there on that way, and Anya as well, and the fellows as well. And then
yeah,
I said, okay. Then I felt like an obligation on a healthy way to give away what I received.
yeah. Keep what you've got then by giving it
Yeah,
away, as they say. So
yeah,
yeah, I really love that. It speaks to me. It's my understanding. It's what I do. You know,
yeah,
it's a part of what I do where there's a monetary exchange for my services because I'm dealing with a lot of other elements involved in the process. But
yeah,
I do a lot of stuff with no gain for me other than me giving my time, my energy,
yeah,
my experience
yeah,
um, to others who might need it.
yeah.
That's a beautiful
It's for
thing.
me, it's basically saying when you say this, it's like keep saying yes.
Yeah, yeah,
And Anya reminds me always on that point. And the moment I start struggling a little bit or feel stressed or not feeling in touch with myself, I when I look back at that period, or was just a week or a month, I have to be honest and say, okay, I have to be more at service at that moment.
yeah, yeah. I've been through. It's no different. When I first got sober, got off of everything, and got into a place where I started to do the journey of who am I.
Yeah,
I don't feel like I had anything to give. Like you, I didn't feel like I, you know, I felt quite
yeah,
worthless.
yeah,
Didn't have a lot of confidence, a lot of self-esteem, whatever. Didn't have any, yeah, self-belief.
yeah,
I was very self-critical.
yeah,
Um, and I felt like I did need to do a little bit of grounding, just to do a little bit of groundwork on. I just need to be centered and be okay with myself a little bit
yeah,
first before I could really truly be of service to other
yeah,
people.
yeah, yeah,
I think it's good to still help other people whilst I'm in that process, but
yeah,
I could only really truly give
yeah,
something away to someone and help someone when I had actually something to actually offer. Do you
yeah.
know what I mean?
True, true. The first moment my sponsor said, okay, now you have to get your hand up at the meetings because you're gonna sponsor someone, I was like so afraid.
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh, I have to do this. I saw my sponsor as like a god in the beginning, like he knows everything, and then I can't do that. And so the yeah, building up
Yeah,
my self-love and self-esteem there
yeah.
from second to second.
Yeah. And like you know, I love what you said, you know, it's not just about in that sort of world that you're in that, you know, I'm not in, you know, because I'm sort of in, but I'm not in. It's
Yeah,
weird, you know, because there's a big world out there. You know, it's been of service to people you don't even know, you know, just smiling. I love that's it. Bringing a smile into a room
yeah,
is such a huge has such
yeah,
impact.
yeah,
Not one of those fake smiles that, you know,
yeah.
because I'm trying to seek validation from everyone. It's like just
Yeah.
a really
We
genuine,
know that one as well.
yeah, yeah, a really genuine, warm. I really feel great at the moment. Not in
Yeah,
a like, you
yeah,
know, smug way, but just in a I feel good about myself and I'm
yeah,
gonna be open and warm and inject some warmth into life because that's a
yeah,
beautiful thing. And I think if more people, because it starts with us, if I couldn't do that before, I was the one that would go into a room and have that fake
yeah,
aura
yeah,
because I was like, what can I get from this room? Do you know
yeah, yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So it's a
Yeah, and
beautiful
that's the
thing.
most beautiful thing, like recovery, and that's why I want to talk about recovery as well. Like from a from a point fucked up your life point to helping others. It's crazy.
Mad, isn't
It's
it?
still crazy.
It is mad. And and in a way, it's like what better person to help other people that are, you know, struggling you know that struggle that you know that you've had
Yeah.
to you know get through. I mean, that's the
I always
experience you
I
have.
also like it on a maybe more like a way like the world is like getting more I than ever, you know, and then to do the we, it's also feels like a little bit like a rebel on a good way now. I always had a rebel in me, and now to give away everything I have is like also like I love it to do it on a rebel kind of way. Maybe that's me, but like hey, if everybody going left, I can do right, but on a healthy way now. I love that to do.
That you're speaking my language, man.
Yeah,
That's me.
yeah,
Yeah, I just naturally want to do things differently because I'm not going to follow the crowd, you know. I want
yeah,
to do things my way.
yeah,
And in a way that was the thing that was the problem, but now it's not the problem, it's actually, you know, like you say, you know, you're using
yeah,
it for good. Okay, look, I feel like we'd be wrapping it up soon.
yeah,
We've covered a lot. But I wanted to just ask you about your music
yeah,
because you produce as well, right?
yeah.
So what you got in the mix? What's happening?
I'm doing now like once a year. I really try now to do. I was doubting about that in the beginning of my recovery and my career when I got back, but now I'm like once a year I do a big radio song, but from the heart. So like a commercial song, but also like I love the rock music and the band. So I always like once a year I do a big band in Holland. I do a remake of it. So can be an old song or a song from now on. So I want to do like my concept is rock and rave. So I and that's why I love because in recovery like I was more lyric. I became more lyric based. So I came into the rock kind of vibes more. I need to feel it, you know. Uh, so once a year, a big single, and I'm touring in the summer, so up April till September. I'm not touring in the winter, so that's how I changed it because I'm doing like 40 gigs in the summer. I do the work at the clinics on the Mondays, and I do workshops around the country, and I'm doing talks for businesses, and that's how my life.
Amazing.
And then I produce like that one big song. I take a lot of time for it, and I do a lot of like mashups, bootlegs, kind of covers, more for my set based, really for the DJ sets.
Yeah.
And that's going on like for every month or once or 2 months. I putting out songs that are like more on the DJ basis kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Love it. So you've got a lot in the mix there.
Yeah. And that's
Great.
what I learned about myself as well. What I always thought it was my weak point, because I said, "Oh, I love like a lot of different things." And all people always said to me, "You have to choose one thing. You have to choose one thing."
Yeah.
And now I think, no, it's my strongest point that I love a lot of things.
Yeah.
To don't have to choose is my biggest strength now.
Yeah. It's great, isn't it? It's freedom. I love that. And
Yeah.
I really relate, it's
Yeah.
and doing it in your own, when you reconnect to who you are, you know what you need, what you don't need, you know what you
Yeah.
like, what you don't really like. We understand, when you do that self-examination that happens through working through a process, you
Yeah.
mentioned 12 steps and you've been to treatment, and that
Yeah.
continues on and on every day.
Yeah.
When you do that, you can't help but get to know who you are and how you're
Yeah.
wired and all of that stuff. And that's a really beautiful thing, because what happens then, which has been my experience, is you kind of work out, I don't have to do that anymore. That thing
Yeah.
that I never liked, I don't have to do that anymore. Do you know what I
And that's
mean?
a strange feeling. I hope people will listen to this in their or maybe in the beginning, or maybe self doubting about recovery, and then that's so brilliant kind of experience. Like, why I was doing this for like I don't like it, or hey, I really like that. It's so
Yeah,
such. I wish for everyone to experience that kind of feeling, like not deaf and blind anymore, but open and like, wow,
yeah,
this is what I like.
yeah.
And this is
Because
what I don't like. It's so simple.
it's like everyone knows what people pleasing is. That's a really popular term, people pleasing.
Yeah,
But that's ultimately what I was doing. Was like, I wasn't really doing what I actually needed to do for me, um, first and foremost, and then help other people and be of service. I was
yeah,
just, like you say, blindly, throwing myself around in life, and doing things that weren't really skillful. you
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
So
And it's so enlightening to be around people in recovery, and to find out what you really love, and what you really feel, and what you really like, and what you really don't like, and what you really
mm,
don't feel, and to be in that herd of kind of people, like to be protected and feel safe, and see that everyone is working and speaking and doing from the heart. And that's the most amazing thing. That's
yeah,
the we.
yeah. The we are getting real. That's the way
Yeah,
I see it. It's
yeah,
getting truthful with yourself and each other.
yeah.
Very, very powerful. Look, you got a very, very, very attractive, strong, clear, inspiring message, and I'm so happy I've got you on today. We've tried a few times to get on this, but I've been
Oh,
a little bit busy.
yeah,
You've been super busy,
yeah. I have to
so
say sorry, Dave. I said 3 times, oh shit, I can do it. I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this.
that's
But
all right,
now
man. I
it's
get
the
it.
right time. So,
It's,
like Anya said, let the higher power decide.
yeah, no, it's all good, man. It's like I know how it is. It's like it's great. You're living your life, and that's amazing.
Yeah.
So it's all good. One last thing I want to ask you before we end it, right? One last thing. Um, your takeaway from your whole, everything that we've just talked about. If there was one thing that anyone that's listening that might connect to what you're saying, and be like, like you read Robbie Williams, what he wrote about in his book, and that sort of just planted a seed with you. If there's one thing that I don't know if you got anything that it could be the
Yeah.
latest thing that you're thinking about at the moment that you feel could be useful for other people.
Yeah, I think that I love quotes, and I think that quote of recovery is a proud choice, not a sad consequence. And I think that's it for me.
Yeah,
Recovery is a proud choice wherever you are in your recovery right now, or you're doubting about recovery, or you're thinking, I don't know, but I listened to these two guys, but it's not for me because I won't make it. And I hope there's like a 1 second of courage or hope filled with, okay, it's a proud choice to recover. Yeah, it's a proud choice. I don't have to say recovery is a proud choice, not a sad consequence.
There you go. I love that. I might have to write that on the on the description
Yeah.
as a quote. I'm going to do that.
Yeah, and that makes it powerful, but because I think that's what I, as a person, I want to stand for something like on a healthy way, and I was standing for a lot of other things. I was always trying to stand for something, and this is where I stand for now.
Mm,
Yeah.
beautiful. It's beautiful, and it sounds really simple. It's a simple sort of concept, but when you're in the mix, when you're in that, in that really bad place of feeling
Yeah.
alone, it's sometimes it just feels like it's unattainable. Like it's not. I want it, but I'm scared.
Yeah.
So we've just got to find the courage to just take a risk because it is a risk.
Yeah. It's a
Um,
risk.
it is, but it's one that I think everyone's just heard. It pays off. So
Yeah. And like the little, when I work with the fellows and they're like 16 years old or 17 or sometimes 40 years old, and then I
yeah,
say, and then I talk about my own experience during life, and then sometimes I say, yeah, and then I don't do it because I'm afraid, and then they say, Joost, if you are afraid, do it afraid. And they're
yeah,
like
yeah,
14, 15 years old, and I love that when they say that. If you're afraid, do it afraid.
yeah. It's amazing. They all turn into little Yodas.
Yeah.
It's amazing. All right, brother. Wicked having you on, man. It's been
Thanks.
good.
Thanks.
And
Thanks for being at service, Dave, and you're doing amazing work. And I hope a lot of people will listen to it and
yeah.
get connected. They always can find me on Instagram or anything and send me a DM. That's
All
for
right.
me like my DM is like also like an open thing.
I'm gonna get you to text me your all your handles. Is that the right
Yeah,
terminology? I'm not on social, so
I understand what you say.
and I'll add them into descriptions so people can
Yeah,
have a look, check you out and follow you and all that sort of stuff.
amazing.
Wicked, my
Cool.
man. I hope to see you in either, well, I could see you wherever in the world. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
London,
Let
me-
the higher power decides when it's the
yeah.
right
I'll see you
time.
soon, bro. All right, man. Take care.
Thanks, Dave.
See you,
Thank you
mate.
so much.
Bye, man. Bye bye.